Hi, my name's Keith Cooper from Northlight Images. Now, some of you may know I do quite a lot of videos, articles and testing of printers, so I review, test printers and things. I get asked lots of questions, and in general I welcome people asking questions because it often gives me ideas for videos. Well, like this one. These are a whole series of relatively short questions that I've been asked about printers. They apply to Canon printers, they apply to Epson printers like the ET8550 that I've produced lots of profiles for and things. This Pro 310 here that I am still testing. Delays in this mainly come about because we've moved house recently. Anyway, just jump into this, and I say there are quite a lot of them. Have a look in the notes. If you've got any other questions, feel free to email me or even just ask questions in the for the videos. So first up, my Wi-Fi runs slow. My printer, after a while, starts printing very slowly. Now, I've noticed this occasionally on the Pro 310, and somebody said, oh, well, I could fix it by switching the printer off. Well, switching printers on and off is rarely a good thing to do because some printers, it can encourage wasted extra ink cleaning cycles and the likes. I've seen it here. It is more noticeable here because I'm using Wi-Fi more in this house at the moment until I get a proper office. And it happens here, and suddenly a print will take several minutes. Now, I've seen this also on the 8550. But for this one here, for the 310, and this goes to the 200, 200S, 300 as well, you don't need to switch off or reset your Wi-Fi. There is an option in the control panel here to go into it and deactivate the Wi-Fi connection. So you just deactivate the Wi-Fi connection, count to 10 or something like that, reactivate the Wi-Fi connection, it re-establishes the connection, and certainly for this one, that seems to fix it. I've no idea why it happens. I'm not going to investigate it in any detail because the Wi-Fi system I've got here is not a tremendously up-to-date one, so it could be all sorts of issues. I've heard of it on Macs and PCs, so it's not a specific thing, but just don't bother switching the event. Just remember that you can deactivate Wi-Fi directly from the controls here. That's just a quick way of doing it. Right. Next one, about the ET8550. Now, I've profiled well over 100 papers now for that, and it's an excellent printer. Karen has one in our office, uses it for an office printer. It has some potential deficiencies with thicker papers than that, and you can occasionally get marks on papers, and I've looked at that. But how much are you bothered by those marks, and how much are you actually sort of saving money and experimenting with the printer and using it more? So it's swings and roundabouts. Now, somebody asked about the VFA Velvet Fine Art setting, which I recommend for use for a lot of art papers. And if you've got the right profiles, it can give really good results. So by using the wrong media setting for Epson Archival Matte, so using the VFA media setting and a profile I'd created especially for it, I got really good black and white from it. You can't incidentally just use VFA without the special profile as well. You don't get the benefits that way. You need to use the correct setting for it, as it were. Now, VFA, if you use Epson print layout, which I do suggest, the same way as I always suggest using the Canon PPL software for printing, at least for testing, is that there is only a standard quality setting in EPL. People go, well, hang on, I don't want standard, I want better. And also this is amplified by the fact that the profiles I make, they're usually printer name, paper name, setting, and then quality setting. Now, quality settings don't matter that much, but I tend to put on the VFA ones something like HQ for high quality. And people have said, I can't set high quality in Epson print layout. Am I limited to some standard setting? Well, the mistake there is to assume, and it's a perfectly valid assumption, that standard means not the best. Standard in this case is the only setting available, and it is equivalent to a high quality setting. If you use the VFA setting, then the printing is slower. And you can see that from the speed it takes. I mean, I would not want to print a dozen A3 Plus large black and white pictures on the Epson 8550 if I was in a hurry, because it's not a fast printer. This one will do it. This is slightly faster. Well, it depends if I've got a connection on it. As I mentioned, the Wi-Fi slowing down problem. And yeah, that I've noticed that on the other one as well. So that's a Wi-Fi problem. But in general, just use the setting that's there. That's the setting I used for making the profiles, so that's the one you should use. And I say those profiles, as I say, there are over 100 of them for the 8550. If you want them, I just ask for a coffee donation for them. You know, if you want to use them commercially, I ask for a slightly bigger coffee donation, but still they are not for sale as such. You know, just drop me an email and I can sort them out for you. Now, other bits and pieces. Just as an aside to this, I mentioned I did a video the other day about this thing. This is a 365 nanometer UV lamp. It makes UV things like my response things like my hand and this print in the back here glow nicely. You can pick these up dirt cheap these days. That's a 365 one. That's also a 365 nanometer. It's USB charged, not so powerful. And this particular one here, this is a 395. Now this will help as well for things, but I use these for looking for optical brightness in papers. And the trick with it is when you do a nozzle check, shine one of these on the paper and it's really easy to see whether the ink is printed well, certainly for the yellow ink. I know some people had problems on that, but anyway, I did a video about that. Next one, profiles. Can you use the wrong profiles on the wrong printer, the wrong paper, etc., etc.? This is quite a mixed one. The specific question I was asked was, can you use Canon Pro 300 profiles on the Pro 310? Well, the short answer is no, because it's an different ink set. The more detailed answer is, well, it depends. It's maybe, because the ink sets are very similar. Now, that depends on the paper you're using, the quality of the profile, all sorts of things. So at a push, you can try using a Canon Pro 300 profile on a 310 for a paper. And you might get good results. You might just get a wasted shot. You might get just not quite so good. And that depends on the quality levels you're after. Depends on the image as well. If it's a bright, colourful image, that's going to be towards the edges of the printer gamut, and that's where the differences between the two are more likely to show. But suffice to say, the 310 and the 300 are pretty much identical in many respects. So I can see why people might wonder about that. But the specific answer is no. The longer answer is, well, it depends. Maybe you'll have to give it a go. So also in profiles, what about, and this applies to the 8550, it applies to any printers really. If you have a paper if you have a profile for a paper and you have a similarly named paper, can you use that profile for it? Once again, the formal answer is no, because it's not the profile for that paper. The more complex answer is yes, you've guessed it, it depends, because some papers may even be made by the same company. Now, just because they have the same name, luster, whatever, semi-gloss, satin, oyster, all different names like that. Remember, there's a hefty marketing component in that. So it may be, certainly in the example of the 8550, I've profiled lots of papers. Now there's a fair chance if you have a nondescript, so let's say satin photo paper, that one of my profiles will give fairly good results. If you ask me which one, I have no idea, because papers differ. One of the tricks I do with the pen here is just to see how they differ in how they look under UV light, because the key to papers is not the name, it's not the base, it's the coating layers. They are what make the difference in it. You can get a different base, so a thicker paper base and a thin paper base, but with the same coating on it, they're almost identical in terms of results. One paper feels thicker, feels higher quality, and that is the way it's sold to people, although once mounted and things, who's going to notice the difference? But in general, you're going to have to experiment. If you've got lots of papers to start from, if, for example, say a printer that I've not covered, you were looking for profiles for this, the 310, well, quite a few companies, paper suppliers, do supply profiles. So you look in their listings, and here you will have to delve into the specs to look for a similar paper. And then, well, they didn't make the paper. But remember, neither Epson nor Canon actually make papers, so there is that to remember. But find a profile, have a go with it. Depends how much you want to experiment, how expensive your inks are in the printer you're using, and the likes of that. But in general, once again, short answer, no. Longer answer, it depends. You'll have to experiment. There is a lot of that. I do keep coming back to that theme. Next up, AirPrint. You can, this is a Mac problem, you can accidentally install the AirPrint drivers for Canon printers and for Epson printers. And if you do it, the typical symptoms are that various driver functions that you expected to be there are gone. Now, I've covered this in lots of different printers, and I've got specific, when I test printers, I've got specific videos I've produced that look at not installing AirPrint. Basically, AirPrint is of no use. It is the chocolate fire guard of printer drivers. Now, I say that because I'm not interested in office printing. I'm not interested in printing for phones or tablets. And if you use phones or tablets, you have to use the AirPrint driver for it. And because they are not in, that's not where the quality printing is. So, I would no more print with AirPrint to this, my P5085, because it's useless. It doesn't produce the sort of prints that I want to print. Now, AirPrint does allow you to print documents, all sorts of things. It just doesn't give you good color management. And there comes in a problem with, say, for example, the Canon Megatank printers, such as the G550 I tested a few years ago, where there is no color management because it forces you to use AirPrint. Naughty Canon, lazy, I call it, not supporting color management, a proper driver in it. It means that, I had to really sort of go around, run around quite a bit to try and produce profiles that would work with a G550. I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to just quickly produce profiles as I can here for the 310, 300, or the Epson 8550, or any other ones like that, or even the big P5000 over there. I could do that with that. AirPrint doesn't let you do it. So basically, AirPrint, useless. Unless you need to print something from your phone. But then if you're expecting high quality from a phone, anyway, different matter altogether. Next up, somebody said, you've got all these printer videos and written reviews and things. And remember that if I've got a written review of a printer, that always supersedes any videos because I can update and correct, add extra bits in for the written reviews, which I can't do for videos. And also that acts as an index almost for all the videos. So if you want to see all the videos I've made currently for this particular one, I haven't finished the written review of this as yet, but they are listed on my index of videos on the website. But for the 8550, if you go to the 8550 review, then you'll see a huge great list of all the relevant videos I've made for it. And it just pulls them all together. So always go for the written review if you want to know if I've covered something. But the point, why not do a big list of printers compared by price? So, and somebody who asked me this said, printers at $200, $300, $400, etc. Now, the big giveaway is in the question itself. They said dollars. I'm in the UK. So price in dollars means nothing to me. I don't follow, because I don't sell printers, I don't follow the prices of I couldn't tell you what the current best price you can get on this, the 310 is. Or any of the other printers, 8550 in here. If you want one, and Karen's office is next door. But if you want one, have a look yourself, see what you can find. You'll find the offers, you'll see how the price varies and things. Now, I don't keep track of prices in the UK, and I'm certainly not keeping track of prices in other countries where prices go up, go down, all sorts of things. They have rebates, they have special offers and various things, or even the model numbers may be slightly different. So really, I don't do comparisons by price. I'll do what the features are of a printer. I'll do what it's good for, what it's not so good for, but I won't tell you what the price is compared to any other printer because I honestly have no idea. I'm sure it would be useful, and I'm sure there will be many a website and other thing and people going, oh well, here's the best printers for $300. Well, if I saw a video saying here's the best printers for $300, I wouldn't even bother watching it because it's automatically wrong because it's a snapshot in time, doesn't mean anything. And I do like the videos to at least have some lingering relevance over a period of time. I know they don't last as long as written articles and things in terms of relevance, and certainly not in YouTube showing them to people, but you know, I try and do otherwise. It's also why I've got the detailed index page of all the videos I've ever created. All this stuff, see the notes, and it's got links to where they are. Anyway, that's why I don't do that. Another question I was asked, this is a little bit related to printers, why do you never use Lightroom? Well, as I've said on a few occasions, I don't actually like Lightroom. What don't I like about Lightroom? I'm not going to go into it in detail, it's a personal thing, but I don't like the enforced use of a catalogue, not interested in it. I don't, for various technical reasons and other things, like the non-destructive workflow. I prefer a destructive workflow. Now, if I was a wedding photographer and doing lots of stuff and things like that, or an event photographer, I might have a very different view on using Lightroom, but I'm not. I'm an architectural industrial photographer. I don't do lots of photos on jobs, and I don't need that sort of functionality. Now, in particular, I don't like its approach to print. Now, its approach to print is to try and make it easy for people to print. In my mind, anytime software like that tries to make it easy, it introduces things that if you go along with the way it does it, then fine. If you don't, if you want to do your own stuff, it prints like this, where I've done this in Photoshop. I've done the sharpening in Photoshop, used plugins and various bits and pieces, but I've used Photoshop for over 25 years. I just know it inside out. So yes, just because I don't like using Lightroom doesn't mean don't use it. One other minor bit on it related specifically to printing. It is very easy, and people do it when teaching Lightroom, to go, oh yes, and then you need to soft-proof your image before you print it. To my mind, that leads to an over-reliance on soft-proofing, and it leads in many ways to people not appreciating what soft-proofing is for and how it can be used. And more than anything, it leads to people using it as a bit of a crutch to avoid really looking at prints, because the screen is not the print, and it's the print that matters, and that's always the key thing. As I said, that my dislike of Lightroom is much more complex than that. Goes back many years, but it is a personal view. If you like using Lightroom, then good for you. If you get results you like from it, then good for you. But if you don't like it, don't feel unduly pressurized by the Lightroom fan club and the Lightroom military industrial complex to actually go, oh, I must use Lightroom. No, you don't have to use. Yeah, pick what uses for you or works for you. Yeah, I've got Photoshop, but yeah, I'm a commercial photographer, so of course I've got Photoshop. One other quick thing, a shout out to DPreview. It's been around for many years. The forums on DPreview have just been completely redone underneath, you know, so the gubbins that works and can. So they have relaunched their forums. They were offline for a few days. The printing forum at DPreview is the place I suggest people go and ask technical printing questions. And certainly if I can't answer things, I'll often say it. If somebody asks me a Windows PC question, I mean, I've not used a Windows PC this century, so my knowledge is somewhat out of date when it comes to printer drivers and things like that. I just use Macs, and I say, well, yeah, that's a Windows specific question you've asked me, ask somewhere like that. It's one of the few forums that I still regularly frequent. You know, I post there often and try and answer people's questions, but also it's a place where I go to ask questions myself. So, you know, I was recently asking some colour management questions about what kit was available and stuff, in case I'd missed anything. But anyway, good old DPreview still going strong. One last one to finish on, and it involves, once again, displays on these screens. I always set the paper type when I'm loading it into a printer on the screen and in the driver. And people ask me, do you have to do that? You don't have to do it, because depending on the settings of the printer, you may just get a warning flagged up, or it may not, or the printer driver will override what the printer settings are. Now, I never do that because I have got yeah, a wall full of boxes of paper and things. There must be at least 80, 90 different papers on a stack, and that's not the full collection. So this is just temporary offers. But I'd use different papers and different stuff often enough that I make sure I set the paper type on the printer. That goes for this, goes for Karen's 8550, especially the P5000 over there. I set it here, then I set it in the printer driver. And if it flags up a warning, then good, that saved me a sheet of paper. Now, given some of the sizes of prints that I make, that extra belt and braces is just something that I do and has over the years saved me wasting many, many sheets of paper. Now, if it's an irritation to you and you only ever use one sort of paper, then by all means just set it in the printer driver and do it that. But if you're doing much experimenting, as I tend to do, then yeah, as I said, setting it here and setting it on the computer is just that extra sort of, just gives you a moment to pause. And you go, yeah, right, oh, have I done the printer settings right? And even after all these years, perhaps because I use lots of different printers and things, I still have to double check things. Because yeah, it varies. Depends which computer I'm printing from as well. I've got an older Mac that I use for some testing as well, and I just need the drivers look slightly different, things like that. If you're using Windows, different versions of Windows may look slightly different. Functionality, the buttons you see may be slightly different. So there you go. That is why I always set it here and there. One other bit. Oh, I mentioned the other day this. Which I tried out the other day when I was down at Epson. It's a power bank. This one keeps tons of stuff going. Have a look at a video I did just the other day. There's this for November. There's a 50% offer on it. I believe that's UK only. I'm not sure though. You'll have to check. But anyway, if you've got any questions, please do just let me know, and I hope that was something in that lot was of use, and bye, and keep those questions coming in. It is appreciated. Thanks.